So, yeah, I saw Melania. Is it as bad as everyone's saying? Yes. Yes, it is. But I was having a real problem deciding if it was just plain bad, or was it so bad that we should all go watch it like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, calling out the super cringy moments, really pushing this into the realm of cult classic, because it's borderline there. Hey, I'm Mike. I studied film, I work in TV, and if you love movies as much as I do, hit that subscribe button and get notified when new content's posted. I'll start by saying I'm going to give Melania a fair shake criticism. As much as I'm not a Republican and don't condone the actions of this administration, I think it's important to note that Melania herself isn't as divisive a political figure as her husband is, and the Melania documentary is not intended to be political. It inherently is political, but the intent was to follow the First Lady in the 20 days leading up to the inauguration in 2025. On paper, it makes for an interesting premise. Too bad that's not really what we got. For an hour and 45 minutes, we follow Melania Trump as she catwalks to her limousine, then catwalks to her private jet, and then catwalks to the super expensive caterer that is crafting a dinner she's putting on. Then catwalks around her apartment as a team of fashion designers make her up like a Barbie doll. In fact, I don't have a problem with following a prominent figure leading up to a historic moment in history. What I have a problem with is that she doesn't do anything except approve the work of others and calls it her creative vision. She says that, actually. We see her take credit for the candlelight dinner on Inauguration Day. She takes credit for the cut and finish of her inauguration dress. She even takes credit for changing a word of President Trump's inaugural address. It's a moment we remember from the newsreels when he turns around and points to her after he delivers her line, begging the question, how much of this is staged? The cringiest moment is a moment I would actually want in a Hollywood movie, though. I think the scene's in the trailer because it wasn't a surprise for me when it came up. Melania is waiting backstage at the inauguration, and just after they call her name, she looks right at the camera and says,
"Here we go again."
It's a perfect Hollywood trailer moment. It's perfect, but people don't talk that way. There are a lot of little moments like this. Now's about the time I tell you that Melania was directed by Rush Hour and X-Men director Brett Ratner, a longtime friend of the Trumps. Brett Ratner's in the same category as Harvey Weinstein when it comes to Hollywood reputations, but the man knows how to shoot a movie. I'm not going to take that away from him, nor am I going to use this platform to disparage him. I'll leave that to the more political content creators. We're here to talk about movies. Documentaries are about access to your subject, and to the film's credit, he had unprecedented access to Melania and Donald Trump. The last person Donald Trump speaks to at 2 a.m. on Inauguration night is Brett Ratner, as Trump says goodnight, leaving Ratner off screen with Melania to finish their interview. If it's nothing else, it's a competently shot ride-along for the 20 days leading into Melania Trump becoming the First Lady for the second time. Let me just jump to the worst part. It gets worse, you're thinking? Oh yeah, it gets worse. Why are we following Melania Trump? Donald makes many cameos, and love him or hate him, his personality jumps off the screen. And Melania's just there. She's good at being there. She's pretty. But Donald is the personality, the character, the person they do documentaries on. In fact, right when you're thinking, why am I watching 2 hours of someone picking out China patterns? It ends and lists between 8 and 10 accomplishments Melania claims to have achieved as First Lady. And you're left saying, I'd like to see a documentary about that person, the person who negotiated the release of a Gaza prisoner, who raised $25 million to help bring attention to kids in their screen time, who is sending underprivileged kids to college. I want to see the doc on that person because that person wasn't in this movie. I'm not saying she didn't do those things. In fact, I would bet someone on her staff did those things and she signed off on them, much like her formal dinner or her outfits. But either way, I would rather see a documentary about a person who is even simply just approving altruistic actions, but they're involved in doing good, as opposed to someone who's just approving hemlines and cocktail dresses. As if I had to say this, Melania Trump serves as executive producer on this film and is good at one thing, and that's crafting her image. Oh, I totally forgot. The soundtrack is probably the most expensive thing you'll see on film this year. I don't have the full list, but they licensed the Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, I'm pretty sure I heard Tears for Fears in there, YMCA by the Village People, which was a staple of Trump's on the campaign trail, even though he was told it was widely known as a gay anthem. And in a shockingly blindsided moment, they used Beethoven's Ninth in D minor. Let me play a little bit of that for you and tell me what movie you know it from. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange when the Droobs are beating the shit out of those people. Then, in another absolutely tone-deaf moment, Melania is returning to D.C. to attend former President Carter's funeral, which happened to coincide with the one-year anniversary of her mother's death. I get there was some emotion there, but the film tries to milk it so much that her voiceover talking about her mother over the shots from Carter's funeral make it seem as if all those dignitaries came out for Melania's mother. Not one word about former President Carter, although all the funeral images were shot there. The entire film is remarkably tone-deaf. I really debated making this video because I didn't want to come across as partisan, and I really tried to see the good in the Melania movie. But my review is ultimately, why does this exist? You could boycott this movie by withholding your money, or you could go in and watch it repeatedly, reciting the lines, calling back to the screen like they do in Rocky Horror. Oh, and there's one scene that is absolutely priceless. And yes, I'm going to spoil it because I've got a pretty good feeling none of my audience is going into this movie willingly. There is a scene where Melania is in New York and she's talking to Donald over the phone, and it's the day they certified the election in his favor, and she's about to hop Trump Force One, as they call it, to join him in D.C. We hear Donald on the phone telling Melania his spiel, which we've all heard. He's going on about how it was the biggest win ever, and no one's ever seen anything like it, and in the swing states, yada, 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 yada. And she's talking over him like any wife would, as if to say, that's nice, dear. She just totally shoos him off. Even she doesn't need to hear the full story. By the way, that scene got a laugh in the mostly Republican theater I saw it in, so I'm glad both sides can have a sense of humor. Anyway, I'm half inclined to disable comments on this one, but if you can keep your comments to the film and the filmmaking and not politics, I'd love to read your thoughts on Melania down below. As always, film is about community. I'm Mike, and I love movies. Sometimes to a fault.